8 o'clock. Heather Ogden, yay, you're here, the Sugarplum Fairy. We thought we had lost you in the parking lot.
Yeah, me too.
But no, it was just finding the entrance. It's not easy.
No.
When we first started working here, we circled the block a number of times.
We all drove past.
Yeah,
we need to have a nice tour, you know?
Right, exactly. We need a sign or something. So the Nutcracker begins this weekend at the Four Seasons Center for the Performing Arts. How exciting is it to be playing in such in this, wonderful ballet that people hold so close to their hearts?
It's such a nice feeling to perform the Nutcracker because of that, because you feel how much Toronto loves the show. Everyone always reacts so well, and it's a show that's full of children from the National Ballet School, so that brings a different energy to the show as well, and it's part of the Christmas tradition, so it always has a positive spin to it.
Is this your first one?
No.
Do they differ?
It's always the same show.
I know, but when you're in one Nutcracker and then a couple of years later you do another Nutcracker, do they differ at all in any way? I know it's the same show, but do they feel different?
Yeah. Well, since I joined the company in 1998, I've done, I don't even know how many different roles in the Nutcracker.
Yeah.
So for many years, the show was changing for me in that way. I did different parts.
Right.
And now I just do the role of the Sugarplum Fairy.
Right.
And I think I've been doing that role for 9 years now.
Good heavens.
Maybe 10. And the show is 16 years old, so it's evolved, and James Kadelka, the choreographer, has made a few changes.
Yeah.
Just, over the years, seeing it and seeing what might work better.
Right.
But
you can't get crazy with it. You can't punk it up or anything. It's the Nutcracker.
no,
you can't.
it's a great version, I have to say. It's full of so many little details that, like, my mom comes almost every year and she says, I always see something different, which is a good quality to have for a production that comes around every year.
Was that a part of your holiday traditions growing up, going to the Nutcracker?
Not really. I grew up in Richmond, BC, and we didn't have a classical ballet company there, so
Right.
it's always a treat if I got to come to Toronto and see it, but it wasn't really a part of the tradition.
How do you know that you've got the stuff to make it to be now your principal dancer with the National Ballet? That has got to be one of the most difficult things to do, to get to that level of dance and that level of ballet. At what point did you know, at what age, that this was going to actually be a career for you?
I think when I started into high school and I started training a lot more seriously, I gave up other things to be dancing all the time, and I realized that I really wouldn't want my life without this, and that, when you realize you can make a career out of your favorite thing to do ever, it's a great moment.
Yeah.
So I think during high school I decided, and I knew that I would have to move away from home to have a classical ballet company. And then after joining the company, I was happy where I was. I was in the core, but I was always ambitious, and I was always working really hard, and I started seeing rewarding roles that were given to me, and I kind of, I had a taste of that kind of principal work, and then I wasn't going to go without it.
How grueling is the lifestyle of a dancer? What's a typical day like for you?
When we're rehearsing, we rehearse Monday to Friday, and we start at 10 in the morning with a warm-up class, and then we have about 6 hours of rehearsal. So depending on what you're cast in, you might have 6 hours, maybe you'll have 4. For the principals, it's working either one-on-one or with your partner, so that's more demanding in a rehearsal. When we perform 6 days a week, and about 8 shows in there.
Have you sacrificed for this career? What have you had to give up?
I guess I had to move away from home, and that, I've lived without being close to my parents for a long time.
Yeah.
None of it really felt like a sacrifice to me, to be honest. I still feel like I love it so much, so it doesn't really feel, I can't really phrase it that way, but I definitely put a lot of my time into my training. I don't go out and party all the time because I want to feel good the next day, take care of my body physically. A lot of physiotherapy, gyrotonics, Pilates.
How destroyed are your toes?
Toes aren't pretty.
Yeah, I bet.
They're not the best.
And it's interesting to me also, too, to look. You are just a slight, tiny woman. You're so petite. But I bet when you see dancers dance and you can see the muscle, I bet you're just as strong as can be. It's like
you can really
you're
see
made
the
of
muscle
iron
definition,
even. Yeah.
especially in the girls' legs. It's a lot of strength to be on point.
Yeah.
And, it's nice to look aesthetically slight, like you said, but then you need to have the power to jump. So,
Did you ever have anybody drop you? Really drop you? Just splat.
Not a big splat, but I've come out of a couple lifts a bit hard before.
Well,
Right.
Yeah.
And then are there words afterwards?
Well, it's the worst feeling
Nasty
when that
exchanges
happens.
behind the curtain.
Not really.
No.
I mean, it's always accidental, but,
Yeah.
you know, I've been put down hard, and I've also broken someone's nose. So it goes both ways.
Have you broken any bones, sprained anything?
I had a little bit of trouble with a stress fracture in my foot about 6 years ago, but that's healed up now. My injuries have been more little and nothing major, knock on wood.
So you can't imagine yourself doing anything else. If somebody said, you know, I know you love it, but, you know, you can't dance anymore, what would you do?
Drive a truck.
I don't know. Drive a truck.
Well, hopefully that will never happen. And I'm coming this weekend, and I'm so excited.
Oh,
O'Mara
good.
Ford is the people are doing cameos as well, right?
Yes, we have a role called the Cannon Doll, and he's going to be dressing up as
you
the
shoot
guest
him out of a
performer.
cannon.
Yeah. It's a different celebrity at each show, so I think he does the first one.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's all ages will enjoy this show, right?
Definitely.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm
Of
glad you
course.
could find it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Heather Ogden, she's playing the Sugarplum Fairy in the Nutcracker, which begins December 10th and runs to January 3rd at the Four Seasons Center for the Performing Arts.